Of all the practices that I advocate for, pair programming is the one I get the most pushback on. I get the most pushback from developers as well as managers. Developers say to me, I just need to focus on this stuff and get this stuff out, and I don't want to be distracted by another person. It turns out it's one of the most powerful ways to learn and also to create a quality product. When there's that right level of synergy, that collaboration can be phenomenal. And there are ways to get into that right level of synergy really easily. Just slip right into it. And we're going to talk about that. I also get an enormous amount of pushback on pair programming from managers. They're harder to convince. Managers say to me things like, I can't afford to lose half my resources in pair programming. Well, first of all, we're people, we're not resources. And secondly, you're not losing half of your people, because pair programming is not about taking turns at the computer. It's about bringing two minds to bear on a very difficult problem. And, we have no trouble thinking about this for physical things. I have a king-size mattress in my bedroom. And one person moving a king-size mattress from one place to another is very difficult, or if not impossible. Well, for me, it'd be impossible. So this would be a two-person job or more, right? And the same thing is true with intellectual problems. Sometimes they can be very unwieldy. And having another person or another group of people to bounce ideas off of can be incredibly powerful and very, very useful. And that's really what pair programming is. It's really about bringing two minds together to solve a single problem. And we do this in lots of other activities in humanity, We do this in sports. We do this in medicine, right? You oftentimes have co-counsel when you're getting defended in court. I mean, it's very common to have a collaboration because two heads are better than one. I didn't make that up, guys. This is a known ism of humanity, that there's, that when we can bounce ideas off of someone else, it can become really powerful. One of the things, and I notice this when get stuck in development, I will think about having another person there. Sometimes I have to work alone. I work alone a lot, actually, because I'm a solopreneur, entrepreneur. And what I do is I imagine that a colleague is standing next to me. And very often I'll get an insight or figure out a bug or an issue that I was working with just from like imagining someone. I used to take big pictures of myself and put it on the wall to help students sometimes to answer questions, because just the awareness of another perspective can help us. And when we actually have another perspective from another person, it can be also very, very helpful. So I know that there's this image of the cowboy coder, it's all romanticized, just like, the Marlboro Man. But both are not really good for our health, When we can work and collaborate with other people, we can learn so much more. Have you heard of Mr. Beast? He's like this billionaire YouTuber, right? And he was just a kid when he started out. But what he did very wisely was he said, I want to make better videos than anyone else in the world. And I need help to do that. So he brought together anyone who would be interested. And he were like 5 people that were just passionate about doing this. And they would work together every week for years. And he said he was 5 times faster than anyone else because of that, because he had the group mind that he could draw on. Now when he makes videos on YouTube, you should watch it. It's crazy. He can give away $1 billion. I mean, he does the most insane things. So, having that level of feedback is so vitally important, and especially with software, because software is complex and we don't want to have to keep reinventing the wheel. So many things that we have figured out, little things that each of us have figured out differently, can be so valuable. I've learned so much about, key binding and shortcuts and how to, improve my workflow when I pair with other developers. And there's another technique we call mobbing, where more than 2 people work on the same piece of code at the same time. So in a pair programming, we work in pairs. In mobbing, we work in groups of 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, whatever. And it also is incredibly efficient, surprisingly, when you get into the flow. Initially, when you're first starting out and you're doing mobbing, it can be very inefficient. But that's true for every activity, right? You didn't learn how to ride a bicycle instantly. We learn how to do things, and we have to suffer the learning curve if we want to master it. And I think this is one of the challenges with pair programming, because we realize we're not all masters yet. But you're not alone with that. I've been doing software development for 40 years, and the one attitude that I try to embrace the most is beginner's mind, because there's so much to learn, and I've just scratched the surface. And all of us, I believe, really kind of are scratching the surface with this whole new approach to thinking and understanding. So don't feel bad if you're a beginner, because that's actually awesome. In fact, one of the techniques we use when we mob together is we like to bring a beginner into the mob, especially when we have an advanced group, because it slows us down. It has us think about all the steps that we're doing, and oftentimes that is very helpful. So having a mix of people and a mix of perspectives in the mob can be very, very useful. What is software development going to be looking like in the future? I feel like what would a doctor have said, 300 years ago? What will medicine look like in the future? Well, we'll be more friends with the evil spirits, and we'll be able to build better rattles to be able to shake over the patient, and that will vanquish the evil spirits. And they would be totally off track. And I feel like we are that way as well in software. We really don't yet understand what is important and what is unimportant. And I think that we must, because this is our map of the inner world. This is our tools to explore the territory in which humanity lives, which is in our heads. So the virtual world is actually in here, right? And the physical world is out there. And we have a lot of methods and practices and disciplines around managing the physical world. Software can be a tool to help us manage the virtual world. And not just for our business processes, but for all aspects of consciousness, really. It helps us understand how we understand. Isn't that recursive? Isn't that self-referential? But it's true. And understanding is very powerful, because it helps us build better models. It helps us deepen understanding and deepen meaning. And so all of these things become incredibly valuable. We have insights that are desperately needed through humanity and throughout the disciplines of humanity. I think we have insights that can help. And so I want to encourage you to think about that. Think about how we can bring many of the ideas that we have successfully built software with into the realm of thought, into the realm of other disciplines, because other disciplines are overwhelmed with complexity. They're trying to manage and understand what's important and what's unimportant. They're trying to build processes around that. And all of those things is what we do in software development, and we're experts at it. So it's a great opportunity for us to help others as well as those in our industry. So let's think about that. Let's think about how the ideas in software are actually transforming society, because they are. The ideas of the mechanism, as I call it, the steam engine, transformed society 250 years ago. And not just the fact that we could do physical work. The thing that really transformed society from the steam engine was the idea of energy and how energy dissipates, because people studied that very intensely when the steam engine was invented. That is actually the root of how quantum physics came to be, because we're talking about closed systems and energy in closed systems, because they wanted to build a better steam engine so that they could do more work. But as a result, it helped us sort of understand theories behind heat and the physics of quantums and continuous flow versus quantum flow and things like that. And all of those things led to a deeper understanding of physical reality. We're on the verge of another set of deep understandings. This time not for physical reality, but for the mental reality that we live in, the virtual world. And I think that the metaphors, the depth of disciplines that are going to come out of this can be enormous. The science of software is fundamentally different than physical science. And when we start to pay attention to this, it will be the key that unlocks consciousness. Because what we're doing is we're taking our consciousness and we're putting it into machines and going, oh, that's a very interesting aspect of ourselves. Oh, look, there's logic, there's and, or, and not. These are something that we recognize in our own central nervous system. Now we can build it into something external. The same thing is true with understanding how relationships happen between entities, between how we think, how we make associations. All of these things are now starting to become more understandable through neural networks and artificial intelligence. You know, how does machine learning work? Apparently, in a very similar way to human learning. And these things are giving us much greater insights into our consciousness. And this is so fundamentally important because this is the world that we truly live in as human beings, the world of the mind. And so understanding this and having tools to be able to map this territory is, I think one of the greatest discoveries of humanity. It came from software, but now it can be applied to many things. It's like Agile. Agile started in the software movement and helped business, manage IT better. But now Agile is moving into other disciplines, into other areas of business. And soon we'll see Agile in education and learning. And soon we'll see Agile in other areas as well. And this whole idea of emergence, which is rippling through our society, is a very valuable thing. So anyway, all these things are very exciting. I'm excited to share them with you on this channel. We will be talking about the philosophical aspects some of the time, and mostly the practical aspects of how we can build better software, how we can understand more deeply, and what insights we can get from the software industry. So stick around, more to come, and I'll see you soon.